the glorious return of the Golden God Emperor Donald Trump. He basically, well, there was a great deal of fanfare. Not as many trumpets as I would have liked, but good enough, I suppose. So I watched most of the rally. Honestly, it wasn't great quality because, well, for reasons we'll talk about, but it was generally fine. Could have been better in some parts, but the last 20 minutes were absolute fire, and that means that we probably can't show very much of it because of YouTube's editorial policies and Facebook's editorial policies. Facebook, you may remember, recently took down a recording of Donald Trump because it was his voice. So, don't know where that leaves us, to be honest. When it comes to that. So what we'll do is we'll just use some of the coverage of the campaign event that was in Ohio and was incredibly well attended, as you can see by just looking at the pictures. There was a massive, like with all of his rallies, a massive overflow crowd in the car park. But yeah, anyway, so as the Telegraph point out, he mocked woke generals, critical race theory, and said that Biden was destroying the nation. He's actually got a great quote here. After just 5 months, the Biden administration is already a complete and total catastrophe. Crime is surging, murders are soaring, police departments are being gutted, illegal aliens are overrunning our borders. Joe Biden is destroying our nation right before our very own eyes. How is that not correct?
True. I mean, just fact check all of that. True.
All of that is exactly. No one has been screeching about fact checks on social media because of this, because there is no debating that statement. That is a true statement. Of course, the comments were greeted with roars of approval. The Biden administration issued new rules pushing twisted critical race theory into classrooms across the nation and also into our military, referring, of course, to the woke general. Our generals and admirals are now focused more on this nonsense than they are on our enemies. Seeing these generals lately on television, they are woke. He was referring to General Mark Milley, who came out and said, yes.
All white people are evil.
Oh, I do want to understand white rage. I've read Mao and Marx, and now I'm on to reading about white rage. And I'm not a communist.
It was worse than that. He said, I read Mao and Marx, therefore, and that doesn't make me a communist. True. And he said, so that's why I want to understand why white rage caused people to storm the Capitol.
Yes.
So, right. You read Mao and Marx, but you weren't saying, I just want to understand why the proletariat haven't risen up yet.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just that you've read the wokeist nonsense.
He'd
You've taken on
accepted
the
the framing.
axioms. Yeah.
And that's exactly right. So, he is essentially legitimizing critical race theory while claiming not to be someone who endorses critical race theory, which is an obvious contradiction. So there's a lot of stuff about Trump's speech that we can't really say, but did we get any clips of interest or anything like that?
Yeah, so I found a few clips that were circulating around that were quite good. So this one here, just showing the size of the crowd, so you can just see the storms of people. I mean, I saw some people at the very back as well trying to take pictures of the front. You couldn't really see. So, I mean, isn't that interesting? Most popular man in America can't get 12 people in the basement, but this guy can get storms of
And
folks.
this is just the overflow as well. That's just tens of thousands of people who couldn't get in to see him. And so we'll sit outside and watch a TV screen.
I mean, come on, this is the most interesting man in America right now. It's certainly not ye olde president. So then he went on to read the snake poem. He apparently got loads of requests to do this.
He's done this a bunch of times as well.
Yeah, apparently the people organising this were just like, come on, you got to do the snake poem. You got to do the snake poem. So he did. I absolutely love. I hadn't heard the full thing without meme music behind it. So just the fact that he says it has to do with the border.
You foolish woman! You knew you knew damn well I was a snake when you took me in.
So the woman comes across the snake, and the snake's like, "Take me in, O tender woman," said the vicious snake. And then the snake gives her a vicious bite, and he says, "Shut up, silly woman," the reptile said with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." It's just such a good. I'd never imagine a president being able to make poems into policy. But, I mean, it worked, and it's still good. So then there's also the clip of him talking about critical race theory that was also online, and I like to make a mythicist informed doing this, not Milwaukee anymore. I think they've changed that, so just make that clear. But they say, as you mentioned, he says on here that the Biden administration is pushing new rules, pushing twisted critical race theory into our classrooms and into our military. You see the generals on TV, they're woke. I knew some of these guys. Boy, they changed quickly. They went to the other side. Because Milley, of course, is someone he knew on a personal basis. I think there was a falling out with him and General Mattis over this issue as well, in which Milley being around, he didn't want him around. And, Milley quickly changed sides, didn't he? So... And I
love all the memes of him with pink hair and the LGBT thing, going, I'm offended by that. Because he literally says it's offensive.
But what's he going to do, though? say that's bad. You can't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
you
not
can't
in
show
favour
me
of
with
that.
all the trans rights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he literally said that it was offensive. It's like, look, the US general's actually going, "Oh, that's offensive." Like, why are you using the word offensive? The only time you should use the word offensive is when literally you're invading Russia.
Like we have. I think we have one war on at the moment, full time for the United States. It's in Afghanistan against the Taliban, who murder women for going to school.
And that's been going on for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you want an offensive, how about you go and offensive those people? Like, it shouldn't have, you only use the word offensive when you're invading a country, for the love of God.
So
But anyway.
the next clip of interest here that I found was just him talking about how the nation belongs to you. So he says in here, this country does not belong to them. It belongs to the American people. And our magnificent American liberty is your God-given right. The people of this land will not be ruled and talked down to by corrupt politicians, petty tyrants, socialist bullies, or left-wing bureaucrats in a place called Washington, D.C. I just love the way he talks and all the rest of it. I never got enough time to really watch his full riffs. So, I mean, even just this is
they're
fantastic.
great. But I mean, he is right, and I despise the Democrat narrative around January the 6th, primarily because they set up government as being sacred, which of course it isn't. That's the point of the American
called
project.
Washington, D.C.
Exactly. The point of the American project is that government is not sacred. It is not, divinely ordained, and it is a construct of the people. And Trump is hitting that note exactly right. And Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and AOC, they were like, "Oh, our holy house of democracy." It's like, then you can keep it. I'm not in favor of whatever it is you're constructing here.
Like, after having to listen to these morons and then just looking at one Trump speech, it really is like a golden light on the situation.
Yeah, nostalgia is the best thing.
Yeah. I mean, it is sort of like looking at him like he shouldn't really exist. Because, he's gone, but he's not gone. So then there's the next one here. So him saying, "I told you so," because, of course, just after 5 months, the Biden administration is already a complete and total catastrophe. I told you. Then crime is surging, so on and so forth. But I love this point. Crime is surging, murder is soaring, police departments are being gutted, illegal aliens are overrunning their borders. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. Our poor borders. They were so perfect, they were so good.
I mean...
Man.
I don't want to be the guy who says, "Okay, well, if they were so perfect, why do you need to build a wall?" But he is right that there is a problem.
It's the way he talks. It's not an incoherent mess of the water of the Liberty Tree or whatever the hell Joe Biden tried to say. It's like, no, the borders were so perfect. They were so good. They were huge.
At least he knows what he wants to say. That's the thing. Like, Joe Biden interrupts himself halfway through sentences because he fails to remember what the end of the sentence is meant to be when he's quoting something else. It's like what was the all men and women, the thing. It's like, what, created equal? Joe, is that what you're trying to say? You are a politician, aren't you, Joe? But I love the next one, though, about the media. Do you miss me? They miss me. They look at their bad ratings and they're saying, we miss this guy. And the thing is, the ratings of CNN and MSNBC are flatlined. Absolute catastrophe. So they definitely do miss Donald Trump. But what's interesting, though, is that the three major networks in America didn't broadcast this speech. Why do you think that is?
When you say the three major, Fox not?
Fox, CNN, and MSNBC did not broadcast this.
Oh, that's a slight. That's a horrible slight from Fox.
And he calls it out during the thing. He's like, he says, Fox, they haven't been so great lately, have they? It's like, I love the way he just slides it in. They haven't been so great lately. Well, if they're not going to broadcast one of your comeback rallies, then obviously not.
All praise to Newsmax then for putting it out. I mean, I never thought I'd be saying that, but...
Well, yeah. No, C-SPAN also broadcast this. A few of the other ones, One American News Network, Newsmax did. But for some reason, Fox, CNN, and MSNBC had more important things to do. So Fox stayed with their lineup of Waters World and Justice with Judge Janine. More important than Donald Trump. CNN had an interview with former Vice President Al Gore. Very much more important than Donald Trump. And MSNBC had The Week with Joshua Johnson. Don't know who they are. But good news is that Trump has apparently joined Rumble. He apparently has an official verified Rumble account, which is a good start because, and I've said this right from the very beginning, Trump should have been doing everything he could to build up competitors to Silicon Valley social media sites. Rumble, of course, being one of them. He should have done the same with Parler, with Gab, with all of the others, especially those ones that can't be deplatformed by Silicon Valley as well, the cartel there. And since we're on the subject, go and follow us on Rumble. We actually have a lotuseaters.com Rumble account, which we'll link in the show notes. that we get good views on the podcast, but not on the clips for some reason. I don't know why. But the podcast...
I'm just going to check out Donald Trump's speech as well on Rumble. It got 800,000 views so
Really?
far.
That's good.
It's still going up. And what is that, like 2 days ago it was uploaded?
Right, okay, that's good. But yeah, go follow us on Rumble, of course, if you want to use alternatives to the Silicon Valley oligopoly. And naturally, the Democrats' purging and persecution of MAGA and Trump and his movement is going on unabated. Now they're going to be going after Trump Inc. So the Trump organization could face criminal charges in New York next week because why not?
Something to do.
Yeah.
Let's just kill him. Why? Orange Man bad.
Yeah, well, it's going after as much as they can to make sure this never happens again, basically, because they don't want their power and hegemony being challenged. And this, I think, is the reason that Giuliani got suspended from practicing law in New York State. So he lost his New York law license. This is the guy who broke the mobs, cleaned up New York, did a good job as mayor, and now they're like, yep, well, you were on the wrong side of what happened, and therefore...
The power struggle in which the elites sided with each other to get rid of the only person who was challenging them.
It looks that way, yeah.
Do you need a better example of the fact that Donald Trump is on the outside of the elites than what's been done to him?
Yeah. And Giuliani chose his side, and Giuliani chose the American people. And Trump chose the American people, and the American people show up in unprecedented numbers to his rallies, and it couldn't be any more night and day.
Who's excited to go to a Joe Biden rally?
Well, who goes to a Joe Biden rally? Joe Biden doesn't even have rallies. Joe Biden has very, very stage-managed events that nobody turns up to apart from his own staff. If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.